What is up, YouTube? Please excuse me if I die of heat stroke halfway through recording this episode. It's freaking hot in South Africa. It's been crazy the last few days, and in my studio it's ridiculously hot. Also, I apologize if you maybe hear birds tweeting and stuff in the background. I've had to open my windows because it's just I can't even deal. So because it's been so freaking hot, I haven't really spent too much time in the studio beforehand on this episode. I've kind of just spent more time, conceptualizing, what I'm going to do. So there's some pretty cool ideas that I've kind of come up with that I want to achieve in today's episode, and I want to show you guys what I'm talking about. So today's episode is all about noise. So in case you missed the episode I posted recently about the modular synthesizer, I've been playing around a lot with that, and one thing about noise is it's quite a sort of essential building block in terms of the modular environment. You can make everything from hi-hats to snares and all sorts of stuff like that. And even, more sort of experimental, psychedelic stuff. And, when you start mixing it with filters especially, then the magic starts to happen. So I'm going to attempt to kind of try, use the same ideas that I've kind of been trying to build on the modular, but apply them to Serum and see what I can come up with. So yeah, this is noise. This is a filter. And just the combination of the two and some interesting modulation, you're able to get some pretty awesome sound out of that. So let's explore that a little bit. Let's dive into what we can make with this. And I've got a couple of ideas for creating some sort of random percussion loops and stuff, to create your sort of own, percussion libraries or your own samples and stuff like that. So let's do this. So we've got our noise and we've got our filter, but the idea is we want to create some way of, varying the sound of the filter. I like to do that using either sort of key tracking, and this is nice if you're using sort of an arpeggiator or something like that. I want to show you guys an idea that I actually outlined in a previous tutorial, but this time it's aimed more at, synthesis and stuff like that. The idea is to create a random arpeggiator, and then we are going to key track the note input to the filter, and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So here, what we want to do is we want to create a MIDI file, and we want to create a varying octaves all the way up, quite a wide range. Here I've got all the way from C2 to C7. The note doesn't actually matter because it's just noise. You're not actually creating a tone. So the note doesn't actually matter. It can be anything. As long as you've got a wide range of octaves, it's going to benefit the sound that we're going for. So then here, what we want to do is we want to create a MIDI insert over here, and let's use Apache 5. For some reason, Apache SX, which I think is the newer one, doesn't have a random arpeggiator. Anyway, then we go to random like this, and here you can set the key range to anything, depending on how wide you want the sort of octaves, how much of those octave changes you want to be represented in the modulation. So here I just went for 48, and let's go over to Serum. So here I've selected the SH1 noise. I kind of just like the sound of this noise, specifically when you've got the resonance boosted. It's got a particular kind of zingy character to it, which is really nice. I actually I use the 101 quite a bit when I'm creating noise and stuff. I love the sound of the filter and stuff, and the way you play in the arpeggiator on that is really cool. And that also kind of inspired this sort of sound design technique that I'm showing you guys. But anyway, so now nothing's really happening, but you'll notice that different notes are sort of triggering here at random. And when we sweep the filter up, you'll hear it's kind of re-triggering those notes. But here's where the magic happens. When you key track Serum's filter, which is this button over here, then the note input changes the filter cutoff amount. However, I actually want to change the amount of modulation that the filter gets key tracked. So you can actually do it using this section over here when you drag like that. And that way you actually have control over the amount of modulation that the cutoff has, as opposed to just an on and off switch. So that's a pretty handy tip. We also want to key track the resonance a little bit, something like that. And then let's listen to the sound that we've got so far. So then here what I like to do is I like to set an envelope to modulate the filter amount. So let's just drag that on here and set it just to modulate a little bit. But then let's go back to our note, our sort of key track amount, and turn that down a little bit, because now, because of the overlapping, we might not hear as much of a difference. So we want to turn that down as well. What's also cool is I like to use this note input to modulate the decay, but backwards, like this. So the higher the note, the more plucky it is. And the lower the note, the less sort of plucky or percussive it is. Oh yeah, we're going to want to turn the sustain all the way down. And you can even maybe change this curve as well. So that's pretty cool, as it is. You can put a delay on there. It's going to give it that sort of like sort of spacey effect. What I also like to do is maybe create like a long LFO to modulate this decay as well, so that it kind of sweeps more plucky and less plucky, if that makes sense. So let's put a delay on here as well. Ping pong, 1/8 dotted. What you can also do is you can turn off the BPM sync. Let's actually put this back on normal over here. Set these delay times very low, and also link both of the left and the right to the note input. So this might get a little bit into the experimental territory, but that might be a good thing. You might be looking for that kind of sound. But bear in mind, when you do this, you might want to jump over to the matrix. This is a little bit harder to scroll. I mean, if you're brave, you can do it here. But on the matrix, it's easier to line them up horizontally, and you get like a number readout like that, because you kind of want them to be the same. I mean, you could do them different. That would create kind of spacey wide effect. But I outlined this kind of idea similarly with the chorus in my previous videos. So I'm not going to explain too much about what kind of stuff that is, but you can hear the effect that it's got. So you see there, it starts to head into the sort of synthesis kind of lead territory. So that's pretty cool. I'm actually going to save that as a variation of that. So the variation there, all I did was I assigned the note again to the mix, but backwards, and the feedback up. So as it hits a high note, it kind of adds a feedback tail, but it turns the mix down a little bit so it doesn't, overpower the sound. That was kind of my thinking there. Awesome. That's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know what you think in the comments. A big thanks to IDM Mag, proud supporters of the dance music scene and my channel. As always, These presets are going onto my Patreon for my $5 supporters, amongst most of the other kind of sounds and stuff that I create in my videos. So if you want to know what that's all about, check out the link that's somewhere on the screen right now. If you want to see more videos that I create, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. See you guys next time.